So very eventful local and global markets in the start of 2021. Um, so of course, let's discuss what happened in January 2021, and then what to watch out for February 2021, then long-term picks, and then we have one trader's playbook pick for you guys. Despite the sell-off, I'm personally seeing at least one opportunity for you guys to take advantage of. And fun fact, this is actually an index name. This is an index name. So there. Okay, so let's get started. So just to recap lang, in January 2021 alone, we actually went down by 500 points, specifically 7% down. So we closed at 6,612.62. So several reasons why. So what made the market rally in early January? Keep in mind, we actually hit as high as 7.4. We and it's mainly because of these things. So first one is we saw improving trade figures in November. Of course, December wasn't that good, but the trade figures that was released in early November was actually good. We saw export already growing 3% compared to November of 2019. And then there were also news, as you may know, that several government units announced that they have signed deals for the advanced purchase of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Another is the Democratic sweep. Of course, there was a run of elections around January 5, where the Democrats won. So that basically means smoother policies or smoother path in implementing government policies in the states. So of course, after that, after hitting 7.4, we quickly went down from there. So what dragged the market at the latter part of the month? So last January 11, and I believe exactly 1 week after, the COVID-19 cases hit 2,000. I believe also yesterday, above 2,000 yung cases. So we weren't hitting above 2,000 prior to that one. So that actually spooked a bit the investors, mainly because we were really targeting reopening related news. So this news that COVID-19 cases again hit above 2,000 um, spooked investors. So probably this was the post-holiday result, right? And then there was also a recovery outlook that was not so positive from the likes of World Bank and the like. So lastly, this was actually one of the main reasons why we went down past couple of weeks. The government basically not yet keen on reopening the economy. Of course, in terms of health related, that is a rational decision, but of course for the market, they did not take that positively because some countries are also seeing higher cases, but um, yet some are quite reopening relatively compared to ours. Keep in mind, um, some countries already did reopen, while us we were mostly stuck in GCQ, at least the Metro Manila, where most of the economic activities are. So needless to say, the market did break down, especially earlier. Um, in the last 2 weeks alone, madaming na break na key levels. So actually, last Friday, we broke below the 50-day MA for the first time since October. And then this week, we broke below 7,000. We broke below 6.8 also on significant volume, right? Um, that actually brought the market to trade at oversold levels for the first time since March 2020, right? So this is actually a surprising development. So first time nag-RSA oversold yung market. Walang sumalo masyado na institutional um, today and yesterday. So of course, in terms of trading plan, basically my recommendation, you will see there ang ganda, di ba? Ang ganda ni revisit niya yung support of 6.6. But there's a high chance it could actually bounce next week. But the thing here is it could be a dead cat bounce, right? So for me personally, I think should the market, for example, trade above 7,000 again, that tells me that okay, the bulls are back. Okay, but of course, if it goes above 6.8, it might be just a natural bounce. It could be it could still be a dead cat bounce. I think 7,000 now is a clear resistance in the short term. I have also a couple charts to show you how significant the market breakdown was today. So just to draw this um like trend line, right? Kitang-kita, 'di ba yung breakdown kanina? Was a key breakdown talaga. You could also see the MACD confirming the bearish breakdown. You could also see yung volume mas mataas on a red day compared to green days. So the basic technical analysis will tell you that's not good. Um, Another is this chart, which actually a guest of ours, si Sir Aaron Sai, showed last month. But this is actually a monthly chart of the PSCI. But it tells you now, while most were celebrating, si Sir Aaron took note of this, that it may not be as we should not be as optimistic yet in terms of price action. In terms of price action, so of course, for those who want to learn more about technical analysis, it's not yet too late. Is it? Should we take advantage of the six level right now? Is there more pain ahead? Sign up na. Sign up na sa Guided Investors Fearless Trader Program. Magsa-start na siya on Feb 2. It's not yet too late to register. Just take a look at our Facebook post, events, gift, diba? So, may promotion pa. But needless to say, it's really a knowledge of that we should all know about. Coming into this job, I actually did not know much about technical analysis, but I believe that was key for me, especially when I co-created yung Traders Playbook, right? So there. So what do you watch out for in Feb 2021? So again, lockdown measures announces. Is it lockdown measures? Is it announcement of sectors to further reopen? Is it MGCQ, GCQ in the Philippines? Tapos in other parts of the world, rising cases, nagplateau na yung cases in some countries. So what's next? Right? What's next? Very important also, of course, what's happening in other countries, mainly because globalization is already there. What happens in other countries, sometimes it already affects us also. But again, keep in mind that this week we actually lagged. We actually lagged the global market. So this was the sell down this week was mostly country specific. Of course, for the US, especially yung Nasdaq, right? Nagcorrection. But for them kasi um, it's also country specific sell off for the US, right? Earnings, also stimulus prospects and the like. So for us, it's sectors to it's for us it's lockdown measures basically. So very important now to watch the news, also to signal, to watch every word the IATF says, the government says. Of course, besides that, economic data is still a must watch. So manufacturing data for us on Monday, inflation. Um, I believe it's a Friday, Feb 5. So of course you will see inflation slightly creeping up. Ramdam natin yan, especially mga prices ng vegetables, right? We actually have several stock picks for you. But of course, now ahead of the Traders Playbook event, sometime in Feb, I will not mention our new stock picks yet. Of course, these stock picks are, of course, for those who are consistently attending this wrap up. You already know this. But fun fact is, we actually changed our target prices for this one. So it's still good to take note. We actually have different arguments already, different reasons why these stocks are a buy. Okay, so first one is Ayala Land. So our current target price is 52 pesos. So basically, what we are telling about Ayala Land for this year is a quick recovery, not necessarily quick recovery, but a huge or significant recovery for the residential segment, right? And the residential segment is Ayala Land's bread and butter. We expect that to normalize sooner than other property segments, the likes of hotel, office, and the like. So in terms of mall rentals, of course, what's key there is the rollout of the vaccine. Once we see a successful rollout of the vaccine now, it will give confidence to the consumers, right? But again, for us, we expect the mall business to go back to pre-COVID levels by 2022. For residential, that is actually the one subsector of the property to watch out for. For SM Prime Holdings, it's one of your more resilient property segment in terms of residential reservation sales last 2020. it actually was resilient, and it's mainly we attribute that to resilient remittances. Of course, there was also low interest rate environment as early as last year. But for us to be specifically reservation sales for SMPH, we do expect that to pick up stronger in 2021, specifically around 20%. Again, same story for the malls, for the mall segment. We do, of course, there could be a slight recovery this year, but what is key is the successful rollout of the vaccine, which will basically provide confidence for the consumers. Okay, next is our Robinsons Land Corporation. For Robinsons Land, um, we believe in terms of numbers wise, we do expect Robinsons Land to outperform, mainly because it has this new project. We've been telling this for quite some time now, but you will see this contribution specifically from Chengdu to be more pronounced this year, which will actually result to Robinsons Land beating its 2019 earnings as early as this year, right? So there, so these three are top property picks for this year, and we could not emphasize it more that our properties are top sector for this year, especially while we are seeing basically our thesis is a reopening, recovery, right? So there. Of course, still we continue to like the holdings company SM Investment, mainly because it's exposed to these reopening winners like property, retail, and banking, right? So which we expect anticipate which we expect recovery will be robust. Um, Other than that, since we believe that the Philippine index is somewhat has this more upside compared to its peers, SM could be a beneficiary of foreign fund flows, right? Mainly because it's it's the biggest company in the index. It has this biggest weight. So if foreigners want to buy the index, they have to buy SM investments. So our target price for that one is 1,250. Of course, for a non-index called FB, of course, this is moving to consumer already. So first one is FB. We actually raised the target price for FB to 81 pesos from 73. So this is actually the opening winner. This is actually a fun fact, mainly because bulk of SMFB's earnings comes from the beer business, and beer volume significantly dropped last year, mainly because beer consumption is also a function of tourism. And since we saw significantly lower tourism last year, beer consumption dropped. Now, moving forward, we now see more people going to tourist sites, especially Boracay. Um, Now we expect beer consumption to slightly pick up. So hence, SMFB is actually a reopening winner. So we expect the company to benefit from less quarantine restrictions. Also, of course, the successful rollout of COVID-19 vaccine moving forward. So those are our stock picks. Of course, you will see here our model port for this year so far for the month of January. So the market went down by 7%. Um, our picks, including our three new ones, which I hid the name for the meantime. So basically, still down. Our picks are currently down, faring a bit better than the index, but nevertheless, we do expect that to turn positive, especially once nag-reopen yung country, once the vaccine is already here and the like. In terms of our traders playbook picks, or we have one pick for the month of January. It's actually a traders playbook that we already released. It's actually one of the more resilient index names right now. It was actually up this week. It's still up this week. So this is actually FGen. So for FGen, it's still a buy for us, both on the fundamental and even on the price action wise. It managed to hold above our cut loss level of 28. Yung low niya for this week was actually 28. So the story here is FGen is actually a beneficiary of this new policy of the Department of Energy to shift to renewable energy. Of course, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to shift to renewable energy, but the government is already starting to do that. They're already not accepting projects that are leaning towards coal consumption. So it's already starting, and FGen is already well positioned on the sector. And of course, the difference between FGen and AC Energy, AC Energy has already gone up significantly. The prospects are still there, but for us, FGen has a bit more upside compared to AC Energy as of the moment. So basically, for FGen, it has this certain resources also to bid, because right now the government is bidding some renewable energy plants. Of course, if FGen decides to bid, it has enough financial resources, it has enough of this expertise to win the bid should it bid. Okay, so right now it's currently trading at, I believe, mid 29 peso level. Just basically continue to buy the pullbacks and set your cut loss below 28 to prevent further correction. So you watch out for that price of 28 within the next week, within the next weeks, especially should the market continue to go down, baka madrag na si FGen pababa. So once it goes below 58, below 28, you could cut loss for the meantime. Let's reevaluate once the market normalizes. So that's our Traders Playbook pick um, that is featured on our wrap up this month. Okay. So in terms of Traders Playbook performance so far, so of course it's not doing so well for the meantime. Um, 5 of the 7 picks already hit our cut loss levels, but again, risk management is key. The market is down by 7%. Luckily, when you average all of these stocks that both hit the profit taking and our cut loss level, down lang siya ng 2%. Gross, of course, that's still gross. Nevertheless, risk management is key, especially, well, I showed the chart earlier, right? That um, that the market, based on what happened today, it's likely continue to be bearish from here on. But for us, so you will know in our Traders Playbook event that in the next 12 to 24 months, we're positive. How positive? Please attend our Traders Playbook event sometime in February. We will promote that as soon as we finalize the details. Okay, you will also learn more about our 3 new stock picks and why those are our stock picks. Okay, so there, this is the time we open now, our Q&A portion. So we will pause, or at least have a break for at least 2 minutes. So please ask all of the questions. We will answer all of that. Okay? Kahit GameStop pa yan. Sige, sige. Thank you. So this is the part where we answer all your questions. So very diverse questions. So this is good. Okay, so let's answer the first one. Okay, so it's a good question. In a downtrend market, when do we know at what point to enter and buy stocks? So because there will always be the risk that the stock prices might get higher or even lower. Okay, so first of all, you have to as an investor, you have to define your decision making parameters. Okay, so first one, if you are a long-term investor, first of all, you will also look at the prospects of the company, right? You will first look at the prospects of the company, and then if you see that the company is actually robust enough to outperform the market, or at least its earnings, now you look into when to buy. Of course, if you're not so if you're not so keen on adding technical analysis in your parameters, you could immediately buy, especially when you think the stock is good enough to invest on, right? So, but the thing here is, if you plan to integrate technical analysis into your decision making, now you apply the basics of support and resistance. So, bottom line, when the market is breaking down and it breaks above, or it rallies back above its key resistance level at significant volume, that is a time, that is a good entry already. So the question, of course, there will also risk that the stock price might get lower after that, but the basics of knowing support and resistance helps you to guide is when the market is going down or going back up. Earlier, when the market already went below 7,000, parang for us it's already a signal that um broke below 7,000 on significant volume. I was actually not writing as much playbooks as usual, right? Because I was thinking maybe the market might even go lower, um, go lower, and it did. It did hit 6.6 as really fast, especially at market on close. Now, as mentioned earlier, so for us, let's apply now. So when do we enter now? When do we enter um at this market? That's why I've been saying, at least for my personal point of view, that when the market breaks above 7,000, I think the bulls are already in charge of that one, especially when the market again makes a new high of 7.4, above 7.432. Dun talaga, I think I'm more than convinced that the bull market is back. Breaking above 7,000, we could enter a bit already, and then above 7.4, go na talaga. So of course, right now, parang of course it's good to accumulate a bit of stocks already right now, especially if you're a fundamental analyst. But if you really want to apply technical analysis on your decision making, basics of support and resistance will help you. So there. So of course, so with that being said, what is the projected support now of PSEI? For us, it's 666, specifically yung 6583. When it breaks below 6583, now next is 64, right? And actually, the chart really not the chart actually not looks appealing right now na talaga is after it broke below the 6740, 6740, 68 level. But if it breaks below 666583, the chart will get uglier, and it will give us more conviction that the market is poised to go lower. But of course, that's me speaking as a technical analyst. All right. You will know in the um, Traders Playbook event that as a fundamental, like my boss wrote on, that the market is still something to get excited for within the next 12 to 24 months. Okay, so there. Okay, next question. Okay, wow, this is a good question. Do you think the BSP will further cut rates in Feb? Um, I think in terms of news, I think Governor Benjamin Jokno said that they will not cut rates for the meantime. What is good actually is if the government cuts reserve requirement, right? This is different from the usual interest rates, right? It's in the headline. Cutting your reserve requirement rates actually helps bank release more liquidity. So that's actually what we're looking out for. But in terms of cutting interest rates, not yet. Okay, so we have a couple of questions, okay, regarding the REIT market. Okay, so first is e-REITs. For us, e-REITs is actually a good investment. We've been telling this for several months already. It's good to be part. It's good to have a REIT as part of your portfolio. At least as a hedge, as it's actually as a dividend play also, right? If you actually have a REIT in your portfolio right now, it's actually your hedge in this recent market sell-off. So A-REIT is a good investment, especially now it's acquiring more property, so you have an upside in both earnings and, more importantly, dividend yield. Now moving into Double Dragon. For Double Dragon, it's an interesting issue. For DD REIT, it actually has a huge upside, mainly because its properties are um, first of all, it's office stable. It has stability. Next one is DD is also poised to infuse lots of assets into DD REIT in the future. The main risk now is it has huge exposure to POGOs, but the company did say that it has 12. The POGOs are have 12 months in advance in terms of payment. So, for example, once the government decides to let the POGOs leave the country, DD REIT has 12 months to find new tenants. So those are the advantages and disadvantages you have to take into consideration. So of course I mentioned the risk and I mentioned what the management said. So it's up to you now um, if it's still a good buy. But for us until, if, for example, if status quo, walang hindi pa alisin yung pogos, I think DDREIT is also a good buy. Okay, so next question is how would you compare FGen with AC Energy and AP in terms of renewables? Currently, FGen has currently FGen has the biggest exposure in terms of renewables locally, right? For AC Energy, of course, your upside for AC Energy kasi is the company plans to infuse the international assets into AC Energy, and once that happens, AC Energy will be a really big player in renewable sector. For AP, it's still building its renewable um, energy segment, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Their actual target is to have 50% of their capacity under renewables. So that's good. So these three companies are your leaders in the renewable segment moving forward. So if you plan to position ahead of the shift of the government to renewables, these three are your top priorities. Okay, so next is nickel stocks. So for nickel, we've been also telling, we've been positive for the prospects of nickel. Of course, what happened this month, the correction was well needed because it's actually been rallying very sharply already. But in terms of fundamentals alone, the prospects are there, especially China. The economy of China is already recovering, and the prospects of nickel are hinged on the electric vehicles, right? It's being used sa lithium, sa battery. That's why both Europe and China are ramping up their electric vehicle production, and that's your upward pressure for nickel prices. That's your upward pressure for nickel production in the Philippines. And moving forward, that's your catalyst for the stock, right? Keep in mind that Philippines is your top exporter of nickel after Indonesia banned exportation of nickel or to focus on their domestic businesses. So there. Okay, another good question. So, what are your stock picks for investors who want to emphasize a dividend investing strategy? So, for us, another previous playbook pick of ours is PLDT, right? So, to combine that with its dividend policy, na despite the pandemic last year, it maintained its dividend policy. I think PLDT is your pick for that one. Meralco also is okay. Meralco is also okay. Stable business beneficiary of economic recovery as well. So there. So okay, so good question. What's the reason behind the decline of Pure Gold and RHI, even if it has even if those stocks have good 2020 earnings? So I think investors are positioning ahead of the of the reopening. So of course, they're selling down the COVID-19 winners and shifting to the reopening winners. But for us, RHI is actually a reopening winner also. Um, Mainly because it has department. It also has specialty stores which benefit from your reopening. But to answer your question, the reason for the decline, also for RHI, mainly because of possibly lack of catalyst as of the moment. So it's good to wait for the earnings for the fourth quarter if there are signs of pickup, especially the economy slowly reopen already in fourth quarter, right? So that could be RHI's catalyst for moving forward. A good fourth quarter earnings and a positive outlook come 2021. So there. Okay, so was January a net foreign buy or net foreign sell month? So yes, it's a net foreign selling month. Huge net foreign selling in January actually. Is there a projection when foreigners will come in? Well, should the economy further reopen, should, for example, the Philippine government announce a possibility of MGCQ really soon, foreigners will come back indefinitely. What sector will be more resilient during a downtrend? Well, it's usually the market depends on why the market dropped, right? But bottom line, the type of stocks that will be a good hedge during a downtrend are your dividend paying stocks, your utilities, right? So there, utilities. So it could be energy, could be telco. Again, depends on the specific event on why the market dropped. But usually, it's your utilities and power sector. Do you think we will experience the same scenario we experienced last year? What do you think will be the difference? Well, for us, kasi we already think we already experienced the worst in terms of economic impact, in terms of lockdown restrictions. In terms of the trend ng cases right now ng COVID-19, although it hit 2,000, parang ano na parang 2,000 na yung peak, 2,200 na yung peak, and then at days nagwa 1,1, 1,5, and that's despite the new variant, right? So medyo nako-contain yung variant so far. So unless the very low probability na mag-worsen, like kumalat ulit, like mag 4,000, 5,000 cases, we think the market will not go back to the 4,000, 5,000 levels. So there. The main difference, of course, the main difference is before kasi when the market hit 4,000, we, no, it's a new experience. Like, what will happen next? How do we solve this? Right now, there are specific measures now how to solve this. Like for example, lockdown. For example, there are already vaccines coming in very quickly in other countries. So there are already solutions in place right now. That's the main difference. Okay, so next. Okay, good question. No. Which stocks would you be looking at to include in your portfolio if you were to add a growth stock? Okay. Well, for us, besides our picks, I think a good growth stock, even if it's part of the index already, still, like as mentioned earlier, see FGen. FGen has this, I think we have to look at it on a macro perspective that the renewable sector is a growth sector in the Philippines. So if it's a growth sector in the Philippines, which stocks where should I buy? So FGen, even AC Energy also, but I prefer a bit lower than current prices. So there. Okay, next is, oh, good question. The AC Energy FOO, same concept as SRO. Not necessarily, no, not at all. Usually kasi when you plan to avail of SRO, it's only for those. The SRO is only available for those currently holding the stock. Um, for FOO kasi parang it's an option. It's more of an option if you want to buy AC Energy. Um, so I think that's the main difference. For SRO kasi, for SRO, um, usually the SRO price is significantly discounted. For FOO, not so much. That's the main difference, right? Because that's actually one catalyst for SRO that people are waiting what's the price, because it depends, the movement of the price after will depend on the SRO price, which is usually at a discount, right? But for FO, it's not that much of a factor. But for follow-on offering, the goal is to increase the public float. because you have to do follow-on offering to increase your public float above the PSE requirement. For SRO, the result of that is lower. So there. Yeah. I will correct that one if just in case I make a mistake next soon. So sige. Okay. How is home compared to Wilcon? Okay, so for all home, um, the main difference is for Wilcon, it's more of construction. Of course, they also sell. See, home sells also a bit of construction, but mostly furnitures, right? For Wilcons, mostly construction. For home, mostly furnitures. That's the main difference. Uh, there. Why are instis not high on AC Energy? Probably they're also waiting for better prices also. Mainly because when AC Energy rallied, it's mostly the retail investors buying it. So there. Any news for IPOs for Feb or this quarter? Well, I just know that there are prospective IPOs for this year, not necessarily for this period. So I think there was a Bloomberg article earlier about Monday Nissan planning to list, and then there's also NGCP, the transmission company. Those are the companies that I know. Besides that, there are lots of REITs that plan to list. Of course, besides DD REIT na ito, this Feb pala, besides DD REIT, there are also other companies that plan to list their REIT business. So there. Okay, so for San Miguel Corp, okay, kind of give us insight the company. They have lots of projects, but the price of its stock is not moving up. We have to take It's because we have to take into account who is SMC and what are the companies under it. Keep in mind that San Miguel Corporation, under it has the food and beverage business, it has the oil business, it has the infrastructure business, right? And the infrastructure project, probably that those are the projects you're mentioning. It will not affect yet the stock price because, of course, the projects will just it will take a long time before they actually incur profit from their investment, right? So right now, probably looking at it for the meantime, you should focus on the food and beverage business. You should focus on the recovery of the oil business for the meantime. So there. But keep in mind, San Miguel Corporation has been relatively stable also as of the moment, mainly because of its energy business. And its energy business has actually been robust. Um, Keep in mind that San Miguel Corporation's energy business is actually one of the leaders also. It's not that it's not that it's not that much of a household name, but San Miguel Corp Energy is one of your good bets if you would like to buy San Miguel Corp also. But again, why is the price not moving up because of the infra projects? Because you have to take into consideration the other segments as well, right? It's a big company and it takes a big um corporate action to move it, right? Okay. What else? Okay, so yeah, can answer more questions still early pa naman. Um, sige. Okay, so what's the outlook for Merrimart for this year? Okay, so for Merrimart, it will have a new revenue stream by April. It's the wholesale operations. It will compete against SNR, Landers, and the like. That's the new revenue stream for Merrimart. It will definitely boost its earnings. Definitely fundamentals wise, Merrimart will continue to grow double and best case triple digit. Of course, the the thing here is, of course, even if it grows significantly, definitely the stock price may differ, right? Of course, even if the stock doubles, triple, if even if the earnings double or triple, the share price is already taken that into account. Do you agree? Keep in mind when the wholesale operations was announced, Merrimart was actually still down that week, right? So now we know the expectation for Merrimart's earnings is good. Now I think it's good to limit our the lower our expectation for the stock price as well. So that's our outlook for the earnings, but for the share price, I believe since currently I believe it's still a stock held by many traders, you should treat it as a trader for the meantime. If it breaks below its key support level, you sell. If it hits above its resistance level, I think it's 8 or 825, you buy. So there. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's a good question. Do you think Filipinos can do what Americans did with GameStop? The main difference kasi with GameStop is you have two sides. The buyers for long and the buyers for short. Let's just classify them long and short, right? Right now, there's no short selling here in the Philippines, so it's hard. The best the Filipinos can do is actually, which what we saw earlier this month, was to hype up or buy up this third liner stocks. That's the best they can do. Right now, we can't short any stock. So it's a very different situation compared to GameStop. And keep in mind, we only have one goal here on how to earn in the Philippine stock market. It's actually when the stock price go up, right? So we're all in the same page here. We're all in the same page here. So the issue kasi with the GameStop is hedge funds are trying to short the company, meaning earn while the price is going down, and then these Reddit traders are trying to buy it up and earn when the stock is going up, 'di ba? So it's a very different case here, and I think the Filipinos can't do that yet because we only have one goal. All of us can only earn here in the Philippine stock market when the price go up, right? So we're in the same page here as of the moment. Okay, any insight on fruit? Okay, so fruit is also a beneficiary once the economy further opens. It's slowly transitioning. It's delivering its products. Also, online business is also booming. But needless to say, um, the economy further reopening and the age restrictions will definitely benefit fruit. So the lowering of age restrictions will definitely benefit fruit. Okay, our take on GFC. GFC is not. GFC is one of our stocks that are we're not so positive on. It's a reopening winner definitely. It's a reopening winner definitely. But our thought kasi is it will lag the earnings recovery mainly because prior to the pandemic we've been already flagging the problem with the um its companies incur losses, the likes of Smashburger and Coffee Bean. It's still there. It's still there. We believe it will continue to incur losses at least in the short term. That's why we don't recommend positioning in Jollibee yet. So there. So the question also, any upcoming catalyst that will boost PSCI? Again, it's the once mag MGCQ NCR, definitely the market will go up. So let's just hope and take care of ourselves. Most importantly, we should take care of ourselves para hindi na tumaas yung cases. So there. What are our insights on cement stocks? Okay, so basically on cement, since we're actually positive on the construction industry, we're also positive on cement. It's just that on the different or the main hurdle for the cement industry is the selling price of cement, right? Um, but bottom line, we're positive on the cement industry. we're just hoping that cement prices will also recover significantly. The problem is we don't have any guidance that much on the cement prices. Okay, our thoughts on these select stocks. Okay, so first see Semirara. For Semirara, um, of course, coal coal consumption is a function of economic activity, and once economic activity picks up, coal consumption also go up. The problem on the future prospects is for Semirara, again, they're not that yet well positioned on the renewable segment. I believe they're not that positioned yet at all. That's why SCC will have this limited upside, right? For Petron, Shell PH, um, their performance now, since the economy, since more cars are already on the road, besides the given economic reopening, we should see oil prices go up. We should Oil prices should go up for Petron and Shell to share price to also recover a bit from here. Okay, so that's also one key catalyst for oil companies, oil prices. So next one is Mrs. G. For Mrs. G, Mrs. G has been a bit sluggish. Of course, it did outperform this week, but still relatively sluggish price action wise and recovery wise. It's still near its lows. For Mrs. G, for Mrs. G, again, it's also the reopening, and we would like to see more volume sana for Mrs. G, more participation from investors. So there. For Axilum, it's also being sold down. But for us, kasi Axilum is a growing company that it's good to bet on a bit. So Axilum it's a growing company with new product variants in the horizon. So it's good to bet on it a bit. Okay, so good question also. As the economy opens up, would you consider unloading Century Pacific and other consumer stocks? Well, let's just say we prefer you guys to have a significantly smaller allocation to consumer stocks this year and big allocation to these reopening winners. So for example, if the allocation of consumer stocks are above 50%, we do recommend unloading a bit to make room for the reopening winners. So next is any thoughts on Megawide? For Megawide, well, since the NAES now is out of the way, the NAES sentiment is now out of the way. We now look back into its business again. The construction business is already picking up, right? Now the thing we now must wait for is the recovery of tourism because it owns yung Mactan Cebu International Airport, and half of its earnings historically comes from the airport operations. So Megawide, it's for us, it's good to pick up, but you have to be patient for it. We have to be patient for it because it's also a tourism-related stock already. But the construction side of the business is already picking up, so at least the 50% is already okay. Okay, so lots of questions here about financials, but bottom line, we're positive on the financials in terms of our topics. Let's just try to wait a bit and attend yung Traders Playbook a bit. But bottom line, we're positive on financials. Okay, so one more question. Okay, so question is, what's our thought about DMC? Will they be able to provide dividend this year? Okay, so when we attended the briefing, for its earnings call last November, it did say the dividend, they're not ultra positive on giving the same level of dividends it did last 2019. I think that's the key idea there. But I believe bottom line, I think they will be able to give dividends. It's just that it's lower or significantly lower than historically. Okay, so there. So thank you everyone. If you want, actually, if you want a recap of this, if you not a recap, if you want to hear again our monthly wrap up, it will actually be uploaded in Spotify. This will actually be a podcast. Um, so thank you everyone. I hope I answered your questions. If you have more questions, just email us, and I hope to see you again in Feb. Okay, so let's hope for a better market environment, and also we hope to see you in our Traders Playbook event. We'll upload the PubMat and we'll tell you the details as soon as we finalize them. So thank you and have a good weekend ahead.